a sign on a street corner, or just a sign anywhere. When you think of these things, do you think of the braille on the sign? Do you think of the tactile bumps on the street corner? Do you think of the wheelchair ramp or elevator right next to the set of stairs? Those are all things that disabled people use that able-bodied people take for granted. I'm here to talk about the rights of disabled and how they fought for such things such as those. Many of you know someone who's disabled. It's one of the few things that can affect anyone regardless of race or class or religion. But before one of the biggest things that happened to people who are disabled was they faced a lot of things. They faced discrimination. They faced eugenics. Eugenics is the practice of weeding out bad genes through either promoting, basically breeding, or removing genes from a population. The United States used to allow people who were disabled to be forcibly sterilized against their will. The state of Iowa in 1911 forcibly sterilized 1,190 individuals. One of the first groups to come out with any kind of activism regarding disability rights was veterans. Veterans mainly returning from World War I. They fought for rights to take care of themselves after losing limbs, being blinded, and similar elements to that. Helping create the Rehabilitation Act of 1918, which would give them vocational skills and training to help take care of themselves. If you were also an immigrant who was disabled, one of the big things that would be on the list of, like, if you could speak English, was also if you were physically disabled, in which you would be turned away from the United States. Institutionalization was also one of the greatest problems facing disabled Americans. Many people with mental disabilities would be sent to insane asylums and similar institutions where they would go through electroshock therapy and physical beatings in attempts to try to fix them. Those are some of the problems faced by disabled individuals at the turn of the 20th century. And it wouldn't take until around the 70s for disability rights activism to truly ramp up among civilians of the United States. After the Brown v. Board of Education ruling, many lawsuits were filed in support of disabled Americans to get educations because of the ruling that anyone had the right to an education. This led to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 1975. In 1977, the 504 sit-in was a protest that took place in California in which disabled individuals went to the Capitol and proposed a sit-in. This lasted for 26 days. They had people bring them food and water, and they protested for 26 days until the bill was signed. The bill itself was a precursor to the Americans with Disabilities Act. The Americans with Disabilities Act was signed in 1990, but before it was signed, it was stalled through the Congress. On March 12, 1990, hundreds of disabled Americans went up to the steps of Congress and got out of their wheelchairs and crawled the steps. There was no ramp up to Congress. The bill itself was passed in